Since 2015, Jared Stillman has rocked Nashville sports.
That team freaking stinks.
And now he's back. The takes are hotter than ever.
I mean, let's be honest, he just can't coach.
Welcome to Stillman and Company.
Stillman and Company on the 440 Sports Network, presented by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. We are live from Radio Row here at Super Bowl 60. That's right, Super Bowl LX. We are presented by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. We are on YouTube at Stillman & Co. Like and subscribe, especially subscribe. And boy, I think I've gotten some new subscribers because I pissed an entire region of America off, which we'll get to. We will also have on our program today Adam Schein from SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio. Plus, he's the guy, CBS Sports. They send it to him in the studio. He will join us. And again, I wanted to talk to Adam Schein because he's boots on the ground in New York when it comes to Cam Ward, when it comes to Robert Saleh. He, of course, picked the Jets to go to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. When it comes to Brian Daboll, etc., he will join the program. Dr. David Chao, the pro football injury doc, he will join the program. I specifically want to sit down and talk to him about Cam Ward's shoulder. And then Ryan Glasspiegel, who's one of the big news breakers for Front Office Sports, he will join us as well. We are loaded today out here from the Super Bowl. And I do want to just tell everybody about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, our presenting sponsor. Hiller has been in business since 1990, and they are family-owned and operated. Again, they take great care of my home. They can do the same for you. 100% satisfaction of happy you'll be, or the service is free. If a customer is not pleased with the work performed, my friends at Hiller will find a way to make it right. That's right. I absolutely love Hiller because of that. They take great care of my home, I promise you. They can do the exact same for you. They are professional, experienced, and they have trustworthy technicians who come into your home and leave it clean and better than they found it. Care is their core value. I know that because they care for me, and I am a Hiller customer. So get on it today. That is Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds. By the way, what a comeback win for the Predators last night. Holy shit, what a comeback win. A proud supporter of the Preds, Vandy, and the Tennessee Volunteers. That's Hiller. Call the Happy Face truck today. Okay, so there was some news yesterday out in Titanland that I do want to start on, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. So yesterday, all the insiders were reporting that the Titans were hiring Gus Bradley, the former Jacksonville head coach. I believe he was the DC under Pete Carroll in Seattle when the Legion of Boom won the Super Bowl. So he was under Pete Carroll, and then after that he goes to Jacksonville, and then after that I think he was with the Chargers, and then he was with the Raiders, and then he was with the Colts as their DC. This year he was kind of a special assistant in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. But the truth is he's really kind of a Robert Saleh mentor, and he's been brought in to be the defensive coordinator. And this news came up right when we got off yesterday that Robert Saleh had hired Gus Bradley to be the defensive coordinator. So now we know that the offensive coordinator is Brian Daboll, the special teams coach is John Fossil, and the defensive coordinator is Gus Bradley. I don't really give a shit about the Titans hiring Gus Bradley one way or another. Now, I like the fact that it's all experienced adults in the room. Robert Saleh has been a head coach before. Brian Daboll has been an offensive coordinator before. Bones Fossil has been a special teams coach before. And Gus Bradley's been a defensive coordinator before. This is not like when Brian Callahan had never been a head coach, and he hired an offensive coordinator who had never been an offensive coordinator, and he hired a defensive coordinator who had never been a defensive coordinator, and he hired a special teams coach who had never been a special teams coach. And that was an unmitigated disaster. But Robert Saleh is the defensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. So I know people are going to sit there and they're going to say, well, think of the experience and Gus Bradley. And Gus Bradley, I remember at the end there in Indianapolis with Shane Steichen, and that was an offensive coach who had farmed out the defense to Gus Bradley. And at the end there, Gus Bradley was the one who was taking all the heat. I mean, those Indianapolis fans, they fucking hated Gus Bradley. And they couldn't get rid of him fast enough. Well, that's because that was Gus Bradley's defense. This is Robert Saleh's defense. So I don't care who Robert Saleh hires on the defensive side of the ball. It doesn't matter to me. There's not a single bald-headed coach that Robert Saleh could hire on the defensive side, because apparently all of his coaches are bald. There is not a single bald-headed coach that he could hire that I would look at and I would say, you know, this guy's going to make an impact on the Titans that, to me, isn't all about Saleh. And I understand the NFL is incredibly popular, and I understand the 24/7 news cycle of it, and I get it. But at the end of the day, I don't care how many former assistant general managers they have in the front office. Mike Borgonzi is the one who's going to pick the players, and I want to know who Mike Borgonzi's picking, and I don't care who told him to pick him. That's Mike Borgonzi. So if Dave Ziegler says, oh, my God, we have got to take Mekhi Lemon, and here's why, and Chad Brinker says, oh, my God, we have got to take Ruben Bain, and here's why, and Mike Borgonzi sits there at night and doesn't know what he's going to do, and then they decide to take Mekhi Lemon, I don't give a shit that it was Dave Ziegler who suggested Mekhi Lemon. It was Mike Borgonzi who picked him. So when it comes to the defense, Robert Saleh is the head coach of the defense. And anything good, bad, indifferent that happens to Robert Saleh in the defense will be on Robert Saleh. I mean, look, unless Robert Saleh gets 3 games into this and it's so bad that he gives the play calling to Gus Bradley, and if it's so bad that he has to give the play calling to Gus Bradley 3 games into the season, then the Saleh tenure would be such a disaster anyways. I struggle. I struggle with the idea that I am going to care one way or another about Gus Bradley on the coaching staff. I just don't. So that's the first thing, the Gus Bradley fact. Now, the second thing. Yesterday, I closed out the show, and I said I was going on 98.5 The Sports Hub on the Felger and Maz program. The Felger and Maz program, as far as local radio in America is concerned, is the top show in the country. And last year, I went on that program because I had to push back against the narrative that Mike Vrabel was some sort of unbelievably great coach and that the Tennessee Titans were so stupid to fire him, and that Vrabel didn't, to a certain extent here in Nashville, dig his own grave. And I went on there and I did. And they seemed to like it a lot. So they wanted to have me back because now the great Mike Vrabel is in the Super Bowl. And I knew they were going to want to sit me down and they were going to say, so what do you think about the great Mike Vrabel now? And when I was on the show yesterday, I went out of my way I kept saying, Vrabel's a good coach, but. And it's like, well, but then you slam Vrabel and you say all these things about Vrabel, so you don't really think he's a good coach. But no. I think Vrabel's a good coach. I just think the way everybody else feels about Vrabel, I look at this with the Patriots, and I think the reasons the Patriots are in the Super Bowl is because of an unbelievable amount of luck. That schedule was one of the easiest schedules in the history of the NFL. Every team they played fired their coach. The Titans were a 4th-place team, and the Titans played all 4 teams in the conference finals. The Titans played the Chargers. The Titans played the 49ers. The Titans played Jacksonville, who made the playoffs twice. The Titans played Houston, who made the playoffs twice. The Titans played Indianapolis with Daniel Jones, which was a playoff team. I mean, the schedules, it wasn't even close. And I'm not sitting here saying the Titans didn't suck. I'm not saying any of that. But I'm just saying the schedule luck was amazing. Then the road to the playoffs in the AFC for the Patriots involved no Joe Burrow, no Patrick Mahomes, no Josh Allen, and no Lamar Jackson. CJ Stroud, I don't even know what's up with him. He fucking stinks. And then they get into the AFC title game, and Jarrett Stidham is the starting quarterback. So I think luck is a big part of it. I think the second thing is Robert Kraft got in between Mike Vrabel and Mike Vrabel's problems and made sure Josh McDaniels was the offensive coordinator. So the biggest problem that everybody had here with Vrabel, Todd Downing, Tim Kelly, Robert Kraft made sure was not a problem with Josh McDaniels. He's a good coach. Vrabel's a good coach. I've said this. Vrabel works very, very hard. He reads the rule book inside and out. Vrabel will push his players to work very, very hard. Vrabel's team will be disciplined, and they'll be held accountable. But there's a lot of coaches that can do that. To act like, oh my God, the Patriots are in the Super Bowl because of Mike Vrabel, I think is ridiculous. Drake May is a very young, talented quarterback. Robert Kraft brings in Josh McDaniels. They have the easiest schedule known to man. They don't play a single elite quarterback in the playoffs. They play Jarrett Stidham and a blizzard hits at halftime. It's just the perfect storm, and that's great. Again, you can only play what's in front of you. But what really pissed off the fans in New England was when I compared this Patriots team to the 2006 Chicago Bears. And oh my God, the incessant whining on social media of these Patriot fans. I owe an apology to you people, to you Titans fans, because I get on you people when you people get mad at me for saying things like, by every metric, Cam Ward wasn't that good last year. Or you do know Robert Saleh, the great Robert Saleh you just hired, you do know he was 20-36 with the Jets. Because sometimes some of you people ignore that. But you people are nowhere near as fucking annoying as these Patriot fans that yesterday were like, oh my God, he compared it to the 2006 Bears, this guy. He's a fat slob hot take artist. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just trying to get a rise out of people. He's just, you do know. The 2006 Bears scored 27 points a game. The 2025 Patriots score 29 points a game. Not much of a difference. Both were second in the NFL in scoring offense. The 2006 Bears had a strength of schedule, and I don't exactly know what this metric means, but a strength of schedule of minus 2.85, which means they had an easy schedule. The 2025 Patriots have a strength of schedule of minus 4.49, almost doubly as easy as that Bears 2006 schedule. And not only that, do you know who the Bears had to beat in order to get to the Super Bowl? They had to beat Drew Brees and the Saints. You know who the Patriots had to beat? Jarrett Stidham. The reason these Boston fans are just so angry when it comes to me saying like, hey, this Patriots team, the real Super Bowl was held in Seattle 2 weeks ago between the Rams and the Seahawks, and Sam Darnold threw for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns. The reason they're so upset about this is because it destroys this fantasy they're living in, that the great Mike Vrabel and the great Drake May and the great Josh McDaniels are all just superhuman, and Belichick has been reincarnated. Vrabel is a good coach. It would not surprise me. I said this when he got hired, wherever he was going to get hired. It would not surprise me if Vrabel goes somewhere and wins. But to act like the Patriots are in the Super Bowl because Mike Vrabel is Jimmy Johnson with the Cowboys is fucking absurd. And the New England fans, look at my Twitter mentions. Holy shit. And then there's like New England media people that should know better, that they're just like, Jared Stillman's just a troll. He's just pissing people off. He's just. No. Compare the numbers. I actually have my friends over at Sumer Sports. I asked them, I said, go compare the 2006 Bears and the 2025 Patriots, because I think they're shockingly close. The thing is people get upset about Rex Grossman being at quarterback. Drake May's better than Rex Grossman. But that team with Rex Grossman at quarterback was second in the NFL in points scored. So quit your bitching. Okay, time to get set with our guests. The first one up today, Adam Schein, the host of Schein on Sports on SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio, which sometimes is filled in by me. Adam Schein joins us again. He's boots on the ground in New York. What's he think of Saleh and Daboll? Let's get to Adam Schein. Live back out at Radio Row here at Super Bowl 60. And first of all, it is an honor to be joined. This is the first time we've done this. Your schedule, Adam Schein.
It's insane.
It's always so busy. You know, we've dogs come on every year. And every year it's like, oh, man, Adam, it's such a tight squeeze because Adam has so many gigs in this industry. And Adam just got a new one. He's going to be hosting a YouTube show for the California Post YouTube channel.
I'm super excited about it. California Post, New York Post. It's going to be every day, 3 Eastern and noon on the West Coast, and I am super excited about it. And listen, I said to our guy Andrew Fitzpatrick at SiriusXM, I said, I need to do Stillman show because you're fantastic. I always want to do it every year, and I'm thrilled we get to connect. And thank you for the nice words on the California Post and the New York Post. I mean, you know, YouTube is where it's at, and I wanted to kind of hitch onto a big brand, and nothing's bigger than the Post, an iconic sports section. Fits my personality in terms of, you know, my takes and everything, and I'm supremely excited about it.
You know, what I think is incredible is when I host your show, when you're out and I'm in for you, the callers to your show, I feel bad if I yell at them because they have such a relationship with you. And I mean, I've had relationships with callers in my life, but these people, like, they feel like you basically are part of their daily routine, like a coworker, like a family member. It's really incredible.
I appreciate that. And, you know, I think that oftentimes having that kind of relationship with callers, it's almost, you know, something that's more associated with local radio.
Mm-hmm.
But, Jared, I'm such a big believer, you know, you take the time to know people, treat them the right way, and you want them to feel like they're part of a family. And I always say that, a Shine On Sports family. So that, to me, is supremely important. And I always say it at the end of every show because it's true and I mean it. I mean, best callers in all of sports talk radio.
Okay, let's get to the Titans. I want your opinion on this. Robert Saleh, you picked the Jets to go to the Super Bowl the year that Robert Saleh got fired. In fact, I remember when you picked the Jets to go to the Super Bowl, and I thought, Adam, what are you thinking? It's the Jets. And now the Titans have hired Robert Saleh, and I feel like everybody in Nashville is banking on the idea that Robert Saleh's 20-36 record was a product of the clown show that is the Jets, more so than just Saleh's ability to coach. What do you make of it?
So I didn't love the hire, and I thought Saleh was, frankly, not a good in-game coach with the Jets. And, I mean, it's easy to bang on the Jets, and they're a clown show and everything that goes into the mix. I do think Saleh, in his introductory press conference, showed that he's going to do some things differently, calling his own plays on defense. I think that is a terrific job. I love the fact that he's going to start doing some different things. The Daboll hire I thought was amazing to coach Cam Ward. Obviously wanted to have him on the Giants, and, you know, obviously saw what happened last year, week 17. They get the 3 pick instead of the 1. Look, I think Saleh is a terrific defensive mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Jets clown show certainly impacted him. And I thought his first news conference, as I mentioned, was so great. And I want the Titans to be amazing. Like, I think the world of the fans, you know, Keith Bullock is a childhood friend of mine. So I've always followed the Tennessee Titans. Nashville's an amazing city, an amazing sports town. I'm skeptical about Saleh. The Saleh presser and hiring Daboll made me more convinced that this actually could work.
So you brought up Daboll because it was funny. You know, I told Andrew Fitzpatrick, I said, I got to talk to Schein and I got to talk to Dog because Saleh and Daboll, nobody, and I know you guys host a national show, both of you, but I mean, you guys are right there in New York, boots on the ground. Daboll as an offensive coordinator compared to Daboll as a head coach. How important is that for Cam Ward?
Oh, it's a great point. And listen, I think, you know, all you got to do is look at Josh Allen. I mean, what he did with Josh Allen, I think he could do for Cam Ward. I also think, and you tell me you saw every snap, I still very much believe in Cam Ward. I think last year there was a lot of issues, dysfunction, bad coaching, and I still think Cam Ward is going to be a sensational player. Like, I think the Titans got a gem. I think Daboll's going to maximize him. Confidence, athleticism, arm strength, intelligence. Think about a young Josh Allen. Think about Jackson Darts. You know, when you look at how Dart played, I think, and I first guessed this, Jared, they should have played Dart week 1. Like that to me was Daboll's fault. But look at what Dart did under Daboll, you know, even in that Denver game before they had the collapse, the Charger game. You know, it was energizing. He maximized his athleticism, his arm. So I think it's a terrific, terrific hire by the Tennessee Titans and by Robert Saleh, making Daboll the offensive coordinator.
It's funny you say that because I hosted your show during the summer, like right after the start of the preseason when I think Dart went to Buffalo, and I was like, he needs to sit this year on the bench. That was how I felt. I'm a big proponent of sitting quarterbacks on the bench. I worked with Floyd Reese, the old general manager of the Titans, sat Steve McNair on the bench. And so I am not a Cam Ward believer.
Interesting.
And I will tell you why. And I think some of this may be like a confirmation bias more than anything else. I did not want the Titans to draft Cam Ward. I wanted the Titans to sign Sam Darnold in free agency, and I wanted them to trade the pick with the Giants. I think the reported offer was 2 1s and 2 2s. And I felt like
that's a good case.
I felt like spend the money on Darnold and then build the team around Darnold for a little bit and then do what Kansas City did. Like, not be in the Super Bowl with Darnold, but make Darnold your Alex Smith. And really, stabilize the quarterback position with Darnold. And then in a couple of years when Darnold's 30, then, if there's a Mahomes out there that you love, then make the move and just strike right then and there. And I felt like this year, every metric said that Cam was terrible. Now, how much of that is the coaching? How much of that is the team that he was on? How much of that was that? I don't know. But I am very concerned. He's undersized. He's not accurate. I am very worried about the investment in Campbell.
I thought early on he looked terrible. I'm gonna back you up and echo that. I don't think he will be terrible. I thought this whole situation was such a mess and such a disaster. Look, there were some smart people who thought the Titans were going to be really good this year, right? And I didn't think it was a crazy take. Like, I thought that's how good I thought Cam Ward was going to be. He's got a long ways to go. I think the fact that Daboll's there gives him the best chance to be successful and be that guy. If you're asking me, I still think he's going to be the long-term answer as a legit, really good to great starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans.
Are you surprised that the Titans have become?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they were in the AFC title game a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They were number 1 seed, and Ryan Tannehill threw the 3 picks. And ever since then, it's just been a nightmare.
I mean, where do you want to trace it back to? Is it the A.J. Brown trade?
I trace it back to when John Robinson, the general manager, got fired in the middle of the season. They were 7-5. They were in first place.
Yep.
I know the Brown trade didn't work out, but he won 61% of his games as the general manager. He took over the worst team in the league. They had the number 1 pick. He drafted all those players that they got to the AFC title game. He hired Mike Vrabel. He did all those things, and she got mad about the A.J. Brown trade and just turned off and fired him the week after they lost to A.J. That, for me, was the moment the dysfunction sat in.
Right, because that was just a non-thought-out reaction. It was reactionary. There was no thought process. I thought the A.J. Brown deal was one of the worst trades I've ever seen. Seriously, like in the moment, what he was in Tennessee, what he represented, that was as bad as it gets. Tennessee had a really good thing going. I mean, the fact that Vrabel, to me, was elite. I just voted him Coach of the Year. I mean, you guys in Tennessee knew that better than anyone else.
Over Liam Cohen?
Yeah. Cohen was 5th on my ballot.
5th?
So I'll give this to you, right? I spent a lot of time thinking of my Coach of the Year ballot. I thought there were 7 candidates this year, 7 guys worthy of Coach of the Year. I did not have Kyle Shanahan on my ballot. I had Vrabel 1. I had Ben Johnson 2. Mike McDonald 3. Sean Payton 4. Liam Cohen 5. That's the full ballot. Shanahan would have been 6. And I would have, if it was an extended ballot, I think D'Amico Ryans did an unbelievable job in the regular season turning that team around. He would have been 7th on my list. And in a different year, would have had Coach of the Year vibe.
I get all worked up about the Mike McDonald Coach of the Year thing because I feel like anytime somebody gives credit to Mike McDonald or to JSN, they're taking credit away from Sam Darnold. And I think in Minnesota last year, everybody but Darnold got the credit. And now we're learning that now maybe Darnold was important to that. And I'm a Darnold believer.
Oh, I love Darnold. I feel like I created the Darnold bandwagon, right? I mean, I loved him coming out of USC and number 3 overall pick.
Did you give up on him at any point with the Jets?
No, did you?
I didn't really watch it when he was with the Jets.
No, I never.
But I saw him with Carolina that second year, and he was good, and nobody recognized him.
Nobody recognized it. And I think for him, and I talked to him about it last year on Shine on Sports. I talked to John Schneider, their general manager in Seattle, this year on Shine on Sports. The year that he got, where he got his PhD in QB play in San Francisco, was everything. Spend the year with Kyle Shanahan, clear your head, you don't have to play. And then he goes to Minnesota, and what a disaster by the Vikings, not making sure that he was under contract. Should have given him a deal, should have re-signed him. I love, I'm not surprised because you're amazing, that you also are a Darnold believer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a, and by the way, it's a great take. I love that you had that with Tennessee, Raiders, so many teams, the Steelers,
Browns.
Of course, but they all should have been all over Sam Darnold. And the fact that he left Minnesota was crazy. And you're right. He doesn't get enough credit, which is why I love just the stat and the fact, Jared, leading up to this game. Sam Darnold is the MVP favorite in the Super Bowl. What a sentence. That makes guys like us look like we know what the hell we're talking about.
Guys on the Darnold train.
That's right.
I had a take yesterday that blew up on Boston radio, and I've got to know what you think of this because everybody in Boston's all pissed. And my take was that I think that this Patriots team, and I'm not taking anything away, they got to the Super Bowl. It was the path was the path. And the path was Jarrett Stidham, but the path was the path. And my big takeaway on this with the Patriots is they're the 2006 Bears. The Super Bowl was played in Seattle 2 weeks ago.
Totally agree.
And it was the Rams and the Seahawks were the two best teams all year.
Totally agree.
And this Patriots team, congratulations to them for getting here. Go buy some AFC Championship gear, but they're not going to win the game. And again, I think them winning would be like the Bears team beating Peyton Manning and the Colts.
I think they're one of the luckiest, flukiest teams in the history of sports. I think that at every single turn this year, there were different teams in the AFC that you could call the favorite. They were never that team. Still don't believe that they are. I mean, I don't. There was a moment in time. My preseason pick was the Bills because of Josh Allen.
Sure.
There was a moment the Colts looked like they were an actual real Super Bowl contender. I said the winner of Buffalo-Jacksonville was going to win the AFC. And when Jacksonville stomped Denver in Denver, they gave off those kind of vibes. Had to respect the Broncos at home with with home field advantage and the bye and that incredible defense. And I still can't believe that the Patriots are here. I thought Houston had a real shot to win the AFC. They were that fly in the ointment team because of how special their defense was. And if I'm a Bills fan, I'm sick. If I'm a Texans fan, I'll never get over what happened in that divisional round.
So, Titans always keep an eye on the Texans. I thought the Texans were going to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. I thought their defense was 2,000 Ravens good.
I agree.
The problem is I don't think anybody there felt comfortable sitting down with C.J. Stroud and telling C.J. Stroud, you have to be Trent Dilfer.
Yeah,
you don't need to. If Davis Mills was the quarterback of that team, I think they're here. Not because Davis is better than CJ, but because they can say to Davis, you have to play like Trent Dilfer. They're going to give CJ $300 million this offseason. They don't feel comfortable.
By the way, they shouldn't. That would be a mistake.
I agree. I yelled and screamed about that with Tua. And we got to pay Tua. We got to, I have to ask you this one. Last one for you, Adam Schein with us. Shine on Sports, SiriusXM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, channel 82, every single weekday from 9 to noon Eastern time. I have to ask you this question. On CBS, you do the game updates.
Love them.
My dad, by the way, the first time that they threw it to you was like, it's Schein.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yeah, I know.
Mr. Stillman, I love it.
This was a big promotion, in my opinion, because you were doing the CBS Sports Network pregame show on Sundays.
Yep.
It's
a different world.
Do you sit there and watch every game at one time and write down like Josh Allen, 18-yard touchdown to Keon Coleman, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, Spiro Ditas is throwing it to you right now? Like, that's got to be a lot of moving parts at once. Explain it to me.
It's a great thing. I love that you asked that question. So I'm sitting in a studio. I have a big monitor to the left of me, which is where I'm hot with whatever broadcast.
Okay.
Then there's a huge monitor, which has the A game for CBS. Another huge monitor with the B game. Then 6 monitors, and it's like the ultimate man cave, where it's the Fox games and the other CBS games. Then I have a scoreboard, which actually is vital for what I'm doing because sometimes they will throw to you before there's an extra point. What if the extra point's missed? That has happened a couple of times. So you need a scoreboard on a monitor as well. So we have a method to the madness. We have a great researcher. His name is Avi. Great producer. Her name is Deb. And we just want to give you highlights that your audience cares about. Every update is live. It's all different for all the different markets. You know, if Tennessee's playing, want to make sure we get division games. I like division games, big moments, or eye candy. When there's a touchdown thrown to Jameis Winston, that's going to go around. It's going to be a highlight wheel to every single crew. So there's a lot of thought that we put into it. And I appreciate the nice words and your dad's nice words. I loved every single second of it.
I got to tell you, I think it's incredible with all the different games going on at one time. And it is right to you. And then it is right back.
Bam.
I mean, has it ever happened where, Ian Eagle throws to you and you say, all right, Jim, thank you.
So I love it. You ask great questions. My researcher prints out for me on index cards who's doing what game. And just because that is sheer paranoia, this way, because sometimes, like, I'll be sitting on the Ian, JJ, Evan Washburn game. Like, all right, we're going to take the Cam Ward touchdown into that game.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the red zone. And then there's a penalty. And then there's an injury. So then Bam's like, okay, we're going to go to Spiro. And then literally in 20 seconds, I'm on live with Spiro Ditas. This after maybe I had a line for Ian, whatever it is.
Sure.
So I have to quickly in my mind just look down and be like, okay, Spiro, because I don't want to throw to the wrong crew, obviously.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, that's I always make sure I have index cards for every crew so I at least know who the hell I'm throwing to.
I bet you love doing that job.
I'm obsessed with it.
I bet you love it. I bet you. I just know you, and I know you every Sunday morning. Like, oh,
it's amazing. I get that. That is literally just like that. You could do it. That's just how I feel about every update.
Adam Schein, as always, Shine on Sports, SiriusXM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. He also is going to be having a new YouTube show, 3 o'clock Eastern with the California Post, and he's on CBS, and he's got about 13 other jobs, I think. I leave any of your jobs out on your resume.
You nailed it. Stillman, you're the best.
No, thank you.
You're the best.
Thanks, man, for coming by.
Thank your dad, too.
Oh, he'll be first on the list.
That's right.
Adam Schein, we continue from Radio Row at the Super Bowl. We are joined now by Ryan Glasspiegel, of course, Front Office Sports. You came on the show last year, and I remember asking you about how important is Stephen A. Smith really worth $20 million? And you were like, he is to them. So if he is, he is. You cover the media, obviously, for Front Office Sports. So I want to start right there off the top, which is I feel like all I ever hear about are budget cuts in media and people that are losing jobs or radio is trending downwards or all these. And then I see Stephen A. signs for $20 million a year. Uh-huh. So where is all this headed as far as, I feel like there's so many different entities here, but I'm trying to figure out where all this money's coming from and then why other people don't have it and where the next step for the media is going.
Well, it really, you got to be connected to revenue. And so they have an idea of how many people watch First Take every day, what the sponsorship is. What's kind of an unknown is how many less people would watch it if we either replace Stephen A. on the show or created an entirely new show other than the First Take franchise. You look at what happened with Undisputed when Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless broke up and the viewership fell off a cliff, and a year later the show was gone. Now, it is interesting because if Shannon Sharp didn't have the, proverbial off-field issues that he had last year, then I think Stephen A.'s contract negotiations might go a little bit differently because the ESPN could have had a little bit more leverage and said, hey, if you leave, look, we wish you well in your endeavors, but we don't think this show is going to fall off that much if Shannon Sharp is the lead and not you. But then when he did have those issues, that became an untenable solution. And so they pretty much, Stephen A. had them over a barrel. So not only does he get $20 million from them, he gets the freedom to get another 10 plus million from SiriusXM and talk politics and whatever he wants in a way that is unheard of for previous ESPN talents.
Are you surprised how quickly so many traditional media people, you talked about Skip Bayless, have gone the YouTube digital route and how quickly that's happening and kind of what are the tea leaves when you talk to the top people? What do they see as kind of the YouTube digital future?
right now that like YouTube, it reigns supreme over, TikTok, X, Facebook, Instagram, all of the other platforms, because per video view, they just pay the most to creators. And so if you can drive a big YouTube channel, look at like Pat McAfee was ahead of the curve. He was YouTube native essentially, and he grew such a big following there that ESPN had to license it for whatever $30 million a year or whatever the number is. And so it's big in that regard. No, but what I worry about with any of these platforms is no one knows who's in charge of this like mysterious YouTube algorithm. Some people are sitting there with their thumbs on the button, deciding that some people get more engagement and some people get throttled. If you run afoul of these mysterious, algorithm wizards, they can just rug pull your whole business. Like it's possible. Like if someone at YouTube just decides that Pat McAfee is objectionable, they can totally take away not all of his engagement, but a substantial amount that doesn't come from people going and finding him directly. Now, all of a sudden, when I go to youtube.com on my MacBook, I see McAfee, I see Mike Francesa. Someone at YouTube can say, no, they're not going to see you on the homepage anymore. Like, we're not going to take you off our platform, but you're going to have to search for it instead of us showing it to you. And then there's the other thing where Netflix just paid a bunch of creators to say, oh, yeah, you're going to have less distribution, less reach, and we're going to pay more than what YouTube pays, probably by a substantial margin. They did that with Bill Simmons. They did that with Pardon My Take. They did that with the Ryan Russillo show. And so it is a fascinating landscape right now.
When it comes to the next step, the NFL, ESPN, that partnership is official, that, sale of NFL Network. I have a hard time not seeing this being something that fucks the fans. I am worried that the ESPN acquisition of NFL Network and the NFL's 10% stake in ESPN, as I said, is going to be bad for fans, bad for content, bad for, am I wrong? Am I right?
Well, I would be more concerned about it if this was the NFL Network of 5 years ago and you had, Good Morning Football with Peter Schrager, Kay Adams, Kyle Brandt, and Nate Burleson. Maybe it's more than 5 years ago at this point, but whenever it was that group and they had programming all day, and it's been really stripped down. They have a different version of Good Morning Football. They've got the insiders now with Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, and Mike Garfolo. They don't have a lot of other, day-to-day talk content. And in a way, I think that this could actually help viewers of NFL Network, because ESPN is going to be programming that channel all day more. So I think you're actually going to see more on NFL Network, not less. Now, as far as the NFL owning a stake in ESPN, I don't know how that affects the public. I mean, it's really going to be a wait and see. What is your perspective on why this is going to fuck the fans?
So I think it's going to fuck the fans on NFL, because personally, I only really watch ESPN and NFL Network. And I only really watch NFL Network when ESPN is talking about something that I don't care about. So like basketball.
Yes.
If they start, if it's like, oh, let's talk Lakers for 10 hours straight, I'm like, okay, NFL Network. And now I feel like it's going to be just really stripped to the bottom. It's just going to be a lot of regurgitated ESPN programming. Maybe it'll be some NFL stuff, but I think.
And you're not like a Colin guy. You're not a Barstool guy.
I'm not a Barstool guy.
Okay.
I like, and I'm not an anti-Barstool guy, but I'm not pro Barstool.
Yeah. You're not a Stoolie.
No, I'm more of a. I do like Colin.
Have you watched the Barstool show on FS1 at all?
Yeah, it's not. It's fine.
Got it.
It's fine. Again, more power to them. If they offered me that show, I would take it. So I don't begrudge anybody on that, and I don't think it's a bad show. It's just not the Barstool bro. That's not for me.
Got it.
I do think when it comes to the NFL Network, I am kind of hopeful that will mean that ESPN can get a better secondary NFL crew, because Fowler, Orlovsky, and Louis Riddick don't do it for me. In fact, I think they're terrible.
Well, they're getting rid of that Monday Night Football doubleheader. So
Right.
I think what's going to happen is ESPN is going to have a lot of those international games and a lot of those late season Saturday games. So I mean, what do you think about like that Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner crew that does those games? Because
I think Warner's fine. Eisen, I think, is not a play-by-play guy.
It's interesting that you say that because a lot of these studio guys, like I still feel that way about Chris Fowler, and he's got, this enormous college football package where he's got the biggest game of the week on ESPN. He's calling the national title games with Kirk Herbstreit. I don't love Carl Ravitch on baseball.
I think it's terrible with him on baseball.
These anchors have like kind of realized that the play-by-play is where more of the action is. I think that of those three, I think Eisen's the best. I think Eisen is better on play-by-play than Fowler and Ravitch.
I do think that's a low bar, though.
Okay, well,
for whatever that's worth. Do you feel like where sports media is headed is a positive place? Do you think it's a negative place? Like when you talk to people in the industry, how do they see the future?
I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to somebody like who's on the rise and has, look like Josh Pate, he's just shot out of a rocket right now. Everyone wants like a piece of him. ESPN wants more of him. His YouTube is exploding. If you ask him about the state of the industry, things are great. If you ask somebody who is like their TV career is winding down,
Skip Bayless.
Well, so Skip is in an interesting spot because he tried to do his own YouTube show and it didn't have great success, but now he's in that Gilbert Arenas ecosystem. And like that seems to be actually doing pretty well for him. Now he may not be getting like in your Twitter feed as much as it used to be, but if you look at like the audience on that show, it's doing pretty well. So he might be more optimistic now than he might have been like 6 months ago. But yeah, to your point, there are people who made their bones on TV and the TV ecosystem is shrinking. Like they can say the ratings are up, whatever they want. Nielsen changed the way that they count. And so I have a hard time believing that there's a bigger audience now when 40% of people have cut their cable and satellite bundles and never returned. But the digital first creators, I think right now are about as optimistic as it's been in a while.
Last one for you. Are we going to have a strike in these sports that aren't football? Because I saw the news yesterday that 6 baseball teams are pulling out of the FanDuel Sports Networks. I think there's going to be more than that.
All of them, yeah, I think so.
I've heard that the Braves are pulling out.
Yes.
Of theirs.
It sounds like all of them are. All of them are going to go to MLB, which is going to get distributed through ESPN.
But what's really going to happen, I think, is over-the-air channels. These teams are going to make deals with these over-the-air channels. Like your local Ion channel or your local whatever is going to have, like the Vegas Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars, and they've already done this. Do you believe that the money that the RSNs were giving the teams, is that going to lead us to some sort of strike with the owners and everything else? Because that's a lot of money.
That's a good question. I really don't know. I mean, look, that money's not coming back, at least not anytime soon, because those RSNs they were compounding 10% year over year gains for 20 years. And they were getting used as a piggy bank by MLB teams, NBA teams, to a lesser extent, NHL teams. And with this deterioration of the bundle, it's just a totally unsustainable thing. And like, look, YouTube TV is growing faster than any of the other bundles. And they've just told the RSNs, you can fuck off. We don't need you, want you. We're not taking you, period, end of story. And so I don't know about a strike. It's interesting because with baseball, so much of their revenue comes from the gate. Like you mentioned, the Braves,
sure, they're
like a public team, so you can see where their money comes from. Like 70% of their money comes from people in the stands and their entertainment districts. So you're looking at then like the TV revenue is split between local and national, and local is probably bigger, but you're cutting like what? Let's say the remaining 30% is 2/3 local, 1/3 national. So that 20% piece of the pie is getting cut. How much? And can you make it back by charging $1 more per beer and stuff like that? So I don't really know exactly how it works, but baseball is heading towards labor Armageddon in a year. If you love baseball like I do, enjoy it, savor it, like try and bottle it up this year, because if it comes back before June of 2027, that would be a major win.
That is a hot take that I agree with, because I think baseball is, I mean, they said it when they signed the last CBA, we're going to have a work stoppage for the next CBA. Glass, thanks for stopping by. Ryan Glasspiegel, again, Front Office Sports.
Continued success.
Thank you, sir, joining us on the program. Stillman and Company. We continue from Radio Row. And we are back here out on Radio Row at Super Bowl 60, and I am so honored to be joined by the pro football doc, Dr. David Chao, of course, with the Sports Injury Central Group. I will say this, whenever an important player gets hurt on a Sunday, my first immediate reaction is to go to your Twitter, because it's like, I got to see what the doc has to say. I got to see, is this a serious knee injury? Is he out for the year? Is it a 3-week, 4-week thing? Doc, thanks for stopping by.
I appreciate it. Look, one of the funnest things about Radio Row is getting to meet some new people like yourself here. I've been a fan of your stuff, and I appreciate your having me on. And at least, you're not hating me like all the New England fans are right now.
The New England fans hate me. I went on Boston radio yesterday and compared this Patriots team to the 2006 Bears team.
I saw that.
And they all got mad about me.
So you took the mantle away from me. They hated me, and they still do, because on Monday after the Denver game, I said, there's no doubt in my mind Drake may hurt his right shoulder. You're lying. How do you know? And obviously that's been confirmed now. So they hated me for that. It's fine. It is what it is.
Okay, speaking of shoulder injuries, this is the one I got to ask you about, which is Cam Ward.
Yes.
Last game of the year, Cam Ward goes down against Jacksonville. At the beginning, the initial report was a grade 3 AC joint separation. I mean, I have a friend that does what you do for a living, and he's been very critical, by the way, of the Titans medical staff over the years. But he said to me that he's like, if it's as bad as it was initially reported, that's major surgery right away and should be good to go by June, July kind of thing. Instead, they said no surgery on Cam Ward. So I wonder, you've seen the hit, the no surgery option, reading the tea leaves, Doc. What do you make of Cam Ward's injury and where he probably is right now?
Look, I have to side with conservative care on this one. Grade 3 AC joint sprain looks bad. It literally, if he takes his shirt off, you can see the end of the collarbone up higher. And with that, it looks bad. But you absolutely can play. I get it. Anthony Richardson had surgery on his AC joint. I don't know the exact circumstances. I didn't examine Anthony Richardson. I haven't examined Cam Ward. But on Sports Injury Central, we expected that there would be no surgery and he'd be good to go, kind of thing. John Elway played a good part of his career with a grade 3 AC separation. If you go into a hockey locker room, and I get quarterbacks are not hockey players, they have match sets from slamming into the boards. It is something that looks bad, but you can be functional with. I, in my practice, end up trying to talk people out of surgery because, like, doc, I need surgery on this. It's sticking up. Everyone's seen Keenan Allen's AC joint, probably, right? It looks ugly, but he's still playing in the league. So it's not as big a functional deficit as people would think. So I am optimistic that Cam Ward will be fine and fine without surgery.
How optimistic are you that this won't hurt his throwing at all? Because shoulder injuries for quarterbacks and pitchers in baseball, a guy has Tommy John in baseball. Thousands and thousands of guys have had that. They've come back to fine. A shoulder injury in baseball, to me, for a pitcher is very concerning. Cam obviously throws the ball and puts a lot of velocity on that. Is there any fear of the shoulder affecting the throwing going forward?
Not much, okay? Anytime it's the throwing shoulder of a quarterback, whether it's Drake May with his mild injury or Cam Ward with a grade 3, it is of concern. But technically speaking, medically speaking, the AC joint is in the region of the shoulder, but it is not even part of the shoulder joint. It's the AC joint. It's a separate joint. It's not part of the rotator cuff or labrum and the joint. And let me tell you something. Many a quarterback and many an athlete, if you have a bad AC joint, not saying that the sprain or the separated ones, that's arthritic. A lot of weightlifters have it. You can cut out the end of that joint and be completely functional. So it is not as important in the throwing mechanism as one would think. It's in the shoulder region. It's not technically part of the shoulder joint. So I'd love to give Titans fans confidence that I am really not worried about Cam Ward's shoulder going forward.
What do you think the timeline is for when he'll be ready to get back out there? Will he be back out there during OTAs? Because they brought in Brian Daboll, so it's a new scheme and a new verbiage and everything else. Will he be good to go training camp?
He 100% will be there for even the off-season program, and not to mention training camp. He'll certainly be there for all the new lingo and the installs. How much they'll make him throw early on depends on how he feels, because it's not necessary. But he'll be there. And at Sports Injury Central, we always put 6 scores on athletes. We haven't done it for next season yet, but we would put Cam Ward's help probably at 95 out of 100, meaning really good. He's a young player. That shows you how little worry we have about his shoulder.
Doc, I used to work with the old general manager of the Titans, Floyd Reese, and he was scared to death of foot injuries. Javon Curse had a foot injury, and it just scared. It probably went from like a potential Lawrence Taylor type player to a solid player, but no longer the great. I see Josh Allen has an issue with his metatarsal. I know that's the little bone in the foot. Would you be concerned about Josh Allen, given how athletic Josh's game is, to have a little metatarsal injury? Does that concern you with Josh Allen going forward?
I'm about as worried about Josh Allen's foot as I am about Cam Ward's shoulder. It is a 5th metatarsal fracture, but it was an avulsion fracture that was old. It is not a Jones 5th metatarsal stress fracture. And yes, he played through it, but it's an avulsion. The surgery isn't even to fix the fracture. It's to excise the bone fragment for pain and reattach the tendon. I've already heard that he's out of the boot. I don't see it as an issue either. I love it when there's no issue, because I don't like to be a doom and gloom guy. But I am optimistic on Josh Allen and optimistic on Drake May. But he's right about foot injuries. I think we have seen more and more foot and ankle injuries, etc. It is a fact that my Achilles tendon is no different than the size of some of these Achilles tendons on these former players walking around or current players. And so my foot, when you work out and as players are bigger, faster, stronger, your foot doesn't really get any bigger. So imagine putting more horsepower on your car engine or in a race car with the same suspension that is in your regular Toyota Camry or Prius. What happens? You get other problems. Bigger, faster, stronger, but you have the same foot, same size, same suspension. That's where I think you see some of this, especially with, the turf and better grip and getting around corners and edges, and you want a red line. And so I think that's why Floyd was probably right that is sometimes a concern.
I do wonder, Will Levis, for instance, had the same, I don't want to say the same injury Cam had, because they're all different, but he had the AC joint issue, left the game, took a week off, came back, then complained about his shoulder, took 3 weeks off, came back, got benched. Then they drafted Cam Ward. He participated in the offseason program, and on the eve of training camp, opted for the shoulder surgery and was out for the entire year. The sentiment, just kind of behind the scenes and everything, was that the Titans were very unhappy with Levis opting for surgery on the shoulder, which makes me think that their docs felt like he didn't need the surgery, and then he decided to get the surgery. I'm asking kind of more philosophically here. When your analysis says, as the team doc, you don't need the surgery or you can play through this, but the player's decision is, well, I'm going to get the surgery. Does that put the doctor in a tough spot?
I would hope not, because all you can ask for from a doctor and a player is mutual trust that you're telling them the truth. You can have differences of opinions, and there are other reasons too, agent reasons and what have you. I think if I could read the tea leaves, the unhappiness there with Will Levis, assuming there was some, and I would believe you're in that marketplace, is not just with the surgery, it's the timing of the surgery. Mm-hmm. For example, we're here at Super Bowl. When I was a head team physician for the San Diego Chargers, exit physicals were a big deal, and they are a big deal everywhere. And what I would tell guys at exit physicals is that yes, we want to give it some rest. We want to get this injury, your shoulder injury, or whatever, some time. But I would set some sort of deadline, and the deadline would be different depending on what the surgery would be. If it's a meniscectomy, maybe we can wait till later. But if it's a shoulder surgery that's being contemplated, like Will Levis, I would say you got to decide in the next month from the end of the season to the Super Bowl. And I would often say, if you're not 100% on the Super Bowl, you got to call me and check back in with the head athletic trainers and let's move, because we have a 6-month timeline on the surgery. We can't wait till surgery, till training camp, and then miss the season. So maybe, I don't know, I wasn't in the room. The upset is not with the fact that he had surgery, was that the decision on when to have it, the surgery. Yeah. And so I would often tell a player, if you're contemplating surgery, here's your drop dead to get ready for the season. If you're going to have it, it's time to have it now. Don't tell me 3 months from now to have the surgery. You're going to miss time. And I don't know how it was communicated. I don't know what happened with Will Levis, but that's just some insight from maybe why the Titans were unhappy.
Okay, 2 Super Bowl questions for you, Doc. Drake May, you brought up the shoulder. I thought Drake May during the season was awesome. I thought he looked like Aaron Rodgers out there, the way he was playing. And in these playoffs, he has not looked like that. And you said, hey, shoulder injury. He's been on the injury report now. Is there a worry that this would affect him at all for the Super Bowl?
Well, Patriots fans got mad at me because on Monday after the Denver Broncos victory, I said there's no doubt in my mind that he injured his right throwing shoulder on Sunday. Well, that obviously has now come true. And I said on that Monday, so this is over a week ago, I was more worried about Drake May's shoulder than Sam Darnold's oblique, although both starting quarterbacks have injury issues and have been limited. Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold's oblique will be 4 weeks old by the time of the Super Bowl. He's already played in 2 games. Drake May's shoulder injury was new. Yes, he completed a flea flicker for 30 yards, kind of a floater, but his next pass was terrible. Weather, grip, snow, wind, footing, you name it, but it was bad. And his next pass was a throwaway. That's all he did. So we really haven't seen him throw publicly well or fire the ball. I know he will play in the Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl. He will play. How will he be affected? I don't know for sure. I'm not saying it's going to be disaster, but you have to say he's been one of the best deep ball throwers. Will he have deep ball accuracy? And will he be able to drive a ball into a tight window on those 2 or 3 throws during the game when you need it? That is a question mark. I'm not saying that he can't, but that is a question mark. So that's why I'm saying more confidence in Sam Darnold's oblique than the shoulder. But probably the least confidence right now is probably either Harold Landry's knee or Robert Spillane's ankle, in terms of Spillane being a sideline-to-sideline linebacker and Landry's knee, I think, being chronic and coming up out of nowhere. But those are the bigger concerns. But, of course, everyone wants to talk about the quarterback.
Sure. If you were the team doc of the Seahawks, and I'm sure that at that point you'd have your hands full with Seahawk players and maybe wouldn't even be keeping an eye on the – would you be telling the coaches in Seattle when you see Drake May on the injury report with a shoulder, would you say, hey, let's challenge him to throw the deep ball. Let's make him prove to us that he can throw the deep ball with this shoulder injury? Because I'm not sure he can throw the deep ball in this game.
Let me tell you something. I don't think I'm betraying any confidences here, but I spoke to the Seahawks head team physician last night at media opening night, Ed Calfian. He's been a colleague of mine when we were in the AFC West together back in the day.
That's the day back, the AFC West, when Seattle was in the AFC West and San Diego was it? Yes.
Yes, back in the dome, in the very loud dome in Seattle. But anyways, Dr. Calfian's great. We talked a little bit about Drake May. He didn't know anything about it. And my analogy to him is, I said, I get it. You're worried about the 53 trees in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
I can look at the 1,800 trees in the forest from my perspective. And he agreed. Now, one of the reasons I do what I do now is that I didn't often ever get asked by the coaches or the GM about the opponent. I remember one time I got asked about Dante Culpepper. He's had an appendectomy. Will he play this Sunday? And I said no. But I was never asked about it. I concentrated on our 53 guys. So no, it's not the job of a team physician to injury scout the other team. Although I think most teams nowadays have somebody that injury scouts the other team, but it's typically not the job of the head team physician.
Doc, thank you so much for stopping by. Again, Sports Injury Central, go ahead, tell us, because during the season, you guys are working on Sundays. We're
working on Sundays from the War Room. We've got all the games on. So, when there's one-off games, it's really simple and fun. But, we started with, fantasy input, et cetera. But what we've proven through Sports Injury Central is we have over 7 years now been at 57%. We entered one entry into Circa Millions this year where you pick 5 games against the spread. We didn't cash. There were 5,800 entries. We finished in about 200th place out of the money, but we finished at 57.1% or 3% on the season against the spread, which is obviously profitable. And so that's been where a lot of the fandom ask has been, especially with the prediction marketplaces and the rise of sports gambling. And so we do comprehensive views on that, not only on sides and totals and gambling advantages, but we're also the only site that gives a player edge. For example, it's not about the running back's health. It's about the running back's health measured against the health of his O-line that week, against the health of the front 7 and the run-stuffing linebacker of the opponent. We're the only site that incorporates those factors. A wide receiver, the health of how many targets based on the health of his other wide receivers, the O-line, especially the left tackle and right tackle, the edge rush on the opponent and their health, and the health of your quarterback, and against the health of the DBs. We incorporate that into a player edge number that gives you plus or minus based off of daily fantasy or, regular fantasy expectations for the week. We're the only site that does that. So I think that's where some of the usefulness is, sicscore.com.
Doc, good to see you, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. Dr. David Chao, the injury doc, he says Cam Ward will be okay. 95%. Or at least that was the score that
his
you would give him.
His score will be 95. I am like 99. He's going to be fine. Don't worry about your quarterback there.
Sounds good, Doc. Okay. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Okay, so you heard from the injury doc himself. Titan fans, nothing to worry about with Cam Ward. So, make of that what you will. Tomorrow's show is loaded. I believe Keith Bullock is supposed to join us on tomorrow's show out here at Radio Row. We got a lot of stuff going on. We'll have a lot more people coming by, a lot more stuff. Again, like and subscribe. And you Patriot fans, get over your fucking selves. Until you win on Sunday, you're the 2006 Bears. Stillman and Company, like and subscribe. Presented by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Live again from Super Bowl 60 here at Radio Row. We will see you all tomorrow.